very short one is actually quite it would be a well-known story in Ireland. Part of it is there have been a lot of plays and films made about this story. It's more a story, I don't know. There's a lot of kind of mystery about it. I have known this story, I've known about this story since I was young. But a part of me always kind of thought that it was like a myth. But it is a true story. So I'm going to share it with you, and you may have already heard of it. It is the Colleen Bawn story. It's the story of Ellen Hanley, or Ellie Hanley. Whenever I first heard this story and kind of first knew about it, her name to me was Ellie Hanley, but her actual name is Ellen Hanley. I'm going to start. I've got my notes here. It's going to be quite a short one. Before I start, as always, please, viewer discretion is advised. If true crime is something that you're uncomfortable with, murder, anything relating to true crime, please do click off the video and come back for something different. So I'm going to jump straight into it. So, the Colleen Bawn murder is one of Ireland's most infamous murder stories. It involves the murder of a young girl named Ellen Hanley. Colleen Bawn translates in English to white girl, with white meaning innocence, so innocent, like an innocent young girl. I think before the murder actually took place, Ellen Hanley was kind of like a nickname for her. So it didn't just come about afterwards. But anyway, side note. Ellie Hanley was born in County Limerick, Ireland. I wasn't able to find the exact location. There are a number of different sources, and some of which state Brough. Another is Ballincarry. There is also, where else? There was a Bury, which, I don't know which is right. But she was born in Limerick, in that kind of area, in that kind of part of Limerick. But the birth records from, I actually know this from doing my own kind of family history searches. The birth records in Ireland, the only, as far as I have gone back, is the late 1800s. Because anything from before the famine is near enough impossible to find online. You would have to go into parishes to find them, and sometimes that might not even, I'm not even sure how well that works. But anyway, Ellen's mother passed away whenever she was very young, approximately around 6 years old. After her mother's death, Ellen's father, a farmer from Limerick, had remarried, and Ellen went to live with an uncle. This uncle then raised her for the rest of her childhood. As she grew into her teen years, Ellen's beauty didn't go unnoticed. When she was around 15 years old, she attracted the attention of a man named John Scanlon. He, at the time, was in his 20s and living in Ballycan House in Brough, or around the Brough part of County Limerick. John Scanlon was what was known as a screen, meaning a minor landowner. He was from a wealthy background and was described as being Anglo-Irish, which at that time it would have been quite common for landowners to be Anglo-Irish. was used to getting his own way. He had previously been a lieutenant in the Royal Marines. Shortly after their meeting, Scanlon proposed marriage to Ellen, and the young girl had some reservations, as Scanlon was from an entirely different background to her. He was wealthy from a more prominent, well-known family, and she was from a small Irish-speaking family of farmers. Although she initially declined his proposal, Scanlon persuaded the young girl to marry him. Scanlon's family were not happy with the idea of marriage, and it was for all the same reasons that Ellen had her reservations. Despite all of this, the two eloped to Limerick City and married in early July 1819. Now, side note, I say they eloped to Limerick City. That is another one that I'm not 100% sure about. There is also a source that says that they married in one of the chapels near where Ellen was from. But again, I did actually go on and try to see if I could find any of the older marriage details. There's nothing. I cannot find anything. But they eloped and got married in early July 1819. Their relationship was questioned by members of the local community who believed that the pair were ill-matched because of the difference in their background, the difference in their age and class. After their wedding, Ellen and Scanlon moved to his family home, or one of his family homes in Glyn, West Limerick. It didn't take long for the lifelong playboy to get tired of his new wife, and at that particular time in Ireland it wasn't possible to get a divorce. So Scanlon took a more extreme way out of his marriage. He persuaded his trusted servant and boatman, Stephen Sullivan, to murder his young wife. Stephen Sullivan was known to the people of Glyn as Stampy, which was a word that was used for half-baked bread. It's believed that he may have had a mental disorder. Ellen went missing later in July of 1819, not even married for a full month yet. Ellen had been missing for 6 weeks, with her uncle not hearing from her or her husband at the time. So when the body of a naked woman washed up near Money Point in Bahrain on the coast of County Clare in September 1819, it was very quickly identified as being Ellen Hanley. Her clothes had been stripped from her body, and she had been bound with a rope which was later linked to her husband, John Scanlon. Ellen's housekeeper, Ellen Walsh, when speaking with one of the magistrates, had told them that she had not seen Ellen in 2 months, and when she'd last seen her, she was getting into a boat with Scanlon and Sullivan. The manhunt commenced to try and find Scanlon, and it didn't take long until he was caught and made a full confession. Scanlon was tried in March 1820 and sentenced to death by hanging. He was executed in August that same year at Gallows Green, Garryowen in Limerick. The story surrounding his execution is that the horses that were transporting him to the gallows had actually stopped. They just wouldn't move, they wouldn't go any further, and Scanlon had to walk the rest of the journey to the gallows while the public watched and jeered. A year then passed before they caught up with Stephen Sullivan. When he was arrested, he admitted his involvement but claimed that Scanlon had orchestrated Ellen's murder. The story that Sullivan provided was that John Scanlon was tired of his wife and had asked Stephen Sullivan to get her intoxicated and take her out on a boat on the River Shannon, which was something that she enjoyed doing. was to shoot Ellen and dispose of her body. He then weighed her body down with a rock and a rope that Scanlon had given to him. So this was all what Sullivan had admitted to. Sullivan was then hanged shortly after his arrest and confession. Ellen Hanley is buried in Boraine Cemetery in County Clare. A Celtic cross was erected on her grave with the inscription, "Here lies the Colleen Bawn, murdered on the Shannon, July 14th, 1819. Rest in peace." So, that is the end of that story. It was a very short story. There's not really much else to it. It's very well known in Ireland. And it's one that I